All right. Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Pastor Todd from Pathway. I'm joined by my good friend Kyle Young from Heart of the Lakes UB. How you doing this morning, Kyle?
I'm doing well.
He is doing well. He is doing well. I heard earlier he was a little tired. I'm a little tired too. Tired of the apocalypse. Ready to go back to something normal, right? So,
Yes.
topic for today is digital discipleship. And so the other guys weren't able to join us, but I want to talk a little bit about what it looks like to follow Jesus, and how do we as pastors try to engage people now that we have a different format. Usually Kyle and I would be sitting down to lunch or a cup of coffee and having this conversation face to face, and here we are face to face, separated by 26 miles or so.
Yeah, it's about.
Yeah. So Kyle, the first question that I thought to ask is, what does it mean to follow Jesus? Like, if we could walk that around as a starting point.
What does it mean to follow Jesus? It really means to sacrifice yourself and follow his path for your life, which is leave selfishness aside and follow the way of Jesus. So
yeah, there's a couple great things you said there. Initially, Christianity was called the way, and the example, Jesus was the example. So it's not just the teachings of Jesus. That's one of the things that we draw a contrast between the Christian religion and other religions. You can follow the teachings of Buddha and be a Buddhist, but you cannot follow the teachings of Jesus and be a Christian, because you're following Jesus himself. And so you're called to follow his example, to surrender some of your own desires and will to his. And that process sort of starts with what we would call maybe conversion. So how would you describe conversion?
laying down your own life to allow Christ to be glorified. That's the official way. It's basically just realizing that you're not the one that's going to make all the decisions in life. Or you're not the one that should be leading and directing your ship. Like, there's somebody else, and there's a better pilot for your ship, and that's Jesus.
Yeah. So Jesus is the one. So following Jesus takes precedence over what you want to do in a lot of different ways. I think I would sort of start by thinking about our relationship to God, and how Jesus enters in to solve that barrier, that we're separated from God by what's called sin, by our wrongdoing. And that's kind of endemic to the human race. We're all wrongdoers. We're all sinners. And so we have to decide that the only way we can get into a right relationship to God is through what's called substitution, what Jesus did for us. And so that's kind of the foundational groundwork of, okay, I'm going to follow Jesus to get a right relationship with God, laying down my own ideas about how to be right with God.
Mm-hmm.
What are some ways that you've experienced that people think they're okay by themselves?
Because they have stuff. They have stuff and think that stuff equals happiness. It equals peace. It equals eternal peace. Just because you got a nice house and you got kids and you got a nice car and nice job, all that stuff is fleeting. And it doesn't really, I guess we're finding out right now it's all fleeting, because it can all go away overnight. Right. And then what do you have left with? And I think a lot of those people who falsely had peace, that they thought was that false security of the world, are kind of wondering right now. They're the ones that are lost and frustrated. The people that I knew that thought they had it all together, but they didn't really need Christ, are the ones I think questioning right now, kind of what's the meaning of everything if it all can go away in an instant. And I think we've been saying that as pastors for centuries. It all can go away, but it's kind of going from there.
Yeah, pastorally, you realize, because one of the things we do as pastors is try to deal with people at the end of their lives. And so you recognize the fragility of human existence, that somebody could be healthy one moment and then they're gone, and to try and help people work through that. I think we as pastors have a unique, it's different from the medical people, because the medical people are working a different pathway. We get called in when the medical people are done. And so we perform those rituals in order to help people realize that life really is kind of fragile. Yeah. So following Jesus, can we do that digitally? How does that, like, just from the perspective of, can we do it?
Can we? Yes.
Can we? Yes. Okay.
Do most people? Yeah, maybe. No, probably not. No.
So when you sit down and try to encourage someone to follow Jesus, what are some of the things you'd be looking for um, as you do that normally, like in a face-to-face setting?
I mean, the classics: pray, read
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
Bible, you understand the Bible and apply it in your life. So apply the Bible, and then ultimately share your faith. Those would be the things that normally we would say are the walk with the Lord.
Hmm. You left out giving.
Well, yeah, I left out giving. We can say giving, give to your church or
Yeah.
to the kingdom, but like that is not a one I would push up to people to do.
Right.
Really, an outpouring of where you are in a right relationship with the Lord. So,
Yeah, I think that's that I think we share that perspective. I'm being funny, but when I think about the number of volunteers that it takes to do what Pathway does, there are a lot of people there who I wish we could put them on the payroll. I really do, because they are really giving sacrificially of their time and talent. And so that sort of demonstrates their commitment to follow Jesus. And I think one of the things we try to mitigate pastorally is burnout, people doing too much, trying to make sure people are doing giving enough, but not giving to exhaustion, that kind of thing.
right.
So, yeah. Okay. So following Jesus can be done digitally, but what's different about encouraging people to follow Jesus in the online era?
I don't
You
think
got to
it's
hold it.
about just
You're playing with it. Hold it up.
yeah, like finding ways to connect people, like with my Bitmojis, connecting people in different ways. This is Bitmoji me. This is Bitmoji Cody that works with me. So ultimately, I think the key is all the things that we do in person can be done online. They really can. Some
Mm-hmm.
can be done better, like especially through a phone. Like I can read the Bible here. This is my Bible. Like
Mm-hmm.
I haven't used a paper Bible in years. So
Wow.
I picked up one the other day, and it felt weird because this is my Bible, or the computer that I'm on. That's the Bible to me. This is how I put together messages. I don't sit. If I sit and read, I go through an app.
Mm.
I've got all the different translations here, so I can read whatever I want to read. So,
Mm.
prayer doesn't change whether it's digitally or in person. I think reading your Bible. For the younger generations, they're probably all already engaging digitally with
Mm-hmm.
the Bible, so that it leads us to sharing your faith, which I think is a lot easier online. And so it really becomes application. Like that's the big thing.
Mm.
How do you apply what you're learning, reading, and praying about in your own life? I think that's the same challenge everywhere.
Do you think it's easier? Like one of the things as you engage somebody pastorally and you're talking about there's an issue in your life. Hey, this is the issue in your life. You keep doing this and you're not supposed to keep doing this. Here are some ways to sort of develop new habits, better habits, incorporate, following Jesus into this problem.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and one of the things I think that we could be losing in the digital environment is it's too easy to view the person on the other end of the screen as a screen person, not as a real person, as a Bitmoji, and not as a person who actually really cares and wants to put their finger on something specific that has to change and help people change it. So I think it's definitely, it can be done, but it really requires a willing participant on the other side of the conversation. But that's true in real life as well.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's true in all situations.
What things can't be done digitally?
Things that are not necessary, such as hugs. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, you can't have the physical expression of relationship. I mean, just being together, spending time together. You can't. We can't be close
Mm.
digitally, as we are. I know that to me, being on a Zoom call is just like being in person, being on
Mhm.
FaceTime. But I'm also a generation that grew up with technology. But
Mhm.
I understand, the older generations, it's more difficult. Doesn't feel authentic, but for my kids, this is authentic. They've been talking to their
Yeah.
grandparents their entire lives on the phone. So this is the
Mm.
same as being there. Although their grandparents don't feel that, to them
Right.
it's the same. So
Mm.
it's just a difference by age and where we're at.
Mm. Yeah, I sort of wonder about, we live in an era when you have access to all kinds of information. I was watching some videos earlier about what the Bible is and how to understand it. And I was like, wow, this is really good. How do I incorporate that into a discussion with my people? One of the things I'm looking forward to starting here soon is just reading the Bible and doing some observations about reading the Bible. And in order to do it better, a lot of times we look at a verse of scripture and we think, oh yeah, I know what this is. But we never ask the question, hey, maybe I need to look at that again. What are the deeper connections between what's here on the page and what's in the larger book or in the larger Bible itself? A lot of times we don't go there. So you would say everything that we need to do can be done online.
I would say yes. I believe that everything we can do, have to do, can be done online.
Have to do. Okay.
I think we could. I think there's things you can do that are outside of it. Because we can gather and meet together thanks to Zoom and things like this. We can meet together. So, don't give up. Meeting. We can still meet together. I don't think the Bible has any, rule or requirement that it must be physically in person. Because technically Zoom is in person. It's like, as this is the same conversation we would have whether we were sitting together, and I'm drinking coffee. So this is the same thing we would do during the week. We're doing it, and it feels the same. So, as I have a cup of coffee, I drink coffee. But I think the only other thing that we have to be aware of is that the attention spans are different online, and that's the really the hard part. People will sit and listen to a 30-minute message. They're not going to watch a 30-minute message online. I don't.
Yeah.
If I go to a conference, I'll sit because I'm there. I'll sit because I have the social pressure that I need to sit there and listen to it all. But how often have I listened to something all the way through online? I can't even remember the last time I listened to something in its entirety, 100%. And so I think that's the problem that we're all feeling right now.
I think that's one of the challenges. One of the challenges is making sure that as you're speaking or preaching or whatever, there's always kind of a lull when you're expanding or drawing something out that's a longer point or giving people background. I tend to give a lot of background. And so there's this time where it's like people might check out until you get to the point where they can check back in. One of the things that I've noticed in doing Zoom calls with some of my older folks is that we don't have a Zoom etiquette built in yet. We tend to talk over one another. There's not a hand raise. How do we manage all that? So those tools are sort of built into the software, but we just haven't really built that into our society at this point. That's been my observation.
Yeah, so I would agree. It'll take a while to get there.
Yeah, I do. I think it will take a while to get there. Hopefully we have a little bit of a breathing space where we can get back together face to face with some of the folks who are trying to deal with this change in technology, and then come back around to sort of train a little bit better, revisit a little bit more, so that we make sure that we don't have anybody left behind. Have there been any people who've kind of dropped off the radar in your sphere of influence just because they don't do technology or don't have internet or whatever?
I don't think so. I mean, I say I don't think so because they're people that we don't necessarily, let's say before all this, we had people who came to church, wouldn't give us their email or phone number. They came every week, but we couldn't get any contact info on them. And so it's really hard, to follow up with people who don't give you their info, especially when they can't ever come back in person. So I would think that there are people that we are not aware of because we just don't think about them and we don't know how to get a hold of them. I know we have that conversation. Well, so-and-so's never given us information, so we can't follow up with them. Yeah. But did so-and-so ever want to be followed up with? They might, had they known a pandemic was coming, they might have gave us their email. But so those people definitely, I think every church has those people. And so, but we don't even really know because we don't have them recorded. We don't have them on attendance. We don't have them on anything. So I think for us, the people that are not technologically savvy, we've been going to see them on a weekly basis. So I think that's been the best we can do for this moment for them.
What's the big thing that you guys are doing as far as Okay, so we've agreed that we can do these things digitally. What's the big thing that you are doing that you're seeing results from in making disciples in the online world?
I'm trying to teach people the why. I think that's the big thing. Trying to teach people the why. That's I think everybody's teaching everybody what to do. They're not telling us necessarily why. So that's I'm trying to get the why behind things.
Hmm.
This is why we do this. This is why we do that. And we'll see. We'll see if that pays dividends. But I see a lot of churches giving content and doing things, but there's no real why behind it. It's just I'm doing this because I think I need to do this, and
Yeah.
I think that's going to go away, and it's not going to really have any change in people's
Hmm.
behavior. So I want to teach people to behave differently. So
Hmm.
that's the hard point.
Yeah. So we've sort of shifted from, creating content once a week to now we're creating content all the time and just constantly putting things out there. And why are we doing it? Realistically, one of the things I read this week is that anytime we put something out there, it's to draw someone into our digital discipleship pathway. Um, Drop the church name real quick: Pathway Community Church, Jackson, Michigan. Um, but yeah, so we're drawing people into not just an event, not just this one-time thing, but a pathway where we can understand, hey, this is the next step in your faith, trying to keep people moving forward in that digital discipleship, because there really is this constant, not pressure, constant calling to be closer to Jesus. Your coffee's not strong enough. You okay?
Yep, you got my coffee.
You need to put some Mountain Dew in that coffee.
I know that's next, always next. Yeah.
Well, hey, I think that's about all we've got for today. There is a digital pathway, and that pathway is still kind of being developed and being fleshed out right now. Looking for the why is probably one of the big takeaways from this. When you engage in online content, it's important not just as a producer to think about the why, but also as a consumer. Why are you doing this in the digital environment? Otherwise, you'll get sucked into Facebook. You'll be down the rabbit hole, and 3 hours later, it'll be bedtime. You won't have anything accomplished. So, hey, man,
Yeah,
thanks.
I think that happens a lot. I think people. That's why the why I think is important, because people end up in the rabbit hole quite a lot, and I think churches were just creating more rabbit holes for people.
Yeah.
I mean, when you can watch 6 sermons on Sunday, it's a lot of rabbit holes. So I mean, so what's the why? Why do you watch one church over another? Why do you stay connected to a group of people? I mean, I watch churches on Sundays now because every church is online. So I go check out my friends' churches and I check out yours every week.
Oh, hey, thanks.
I just got to go pop in everybody's and see how they're doing. And
I
because
watch yours, but I rarely watch all the way through.
yeah, it's, you get the sermon and turn it off. But, so those are some of the things, but like, why, why should I, as a person in Jackson, Michigan, why should I watch Pathway? Why should I watch Heart of the Lakes? Why shouldn't I just watch one of these online preachers? It's the same thing. I haven't seen any real churches doing the training of why you stay connected to a local church body. I just see everybody creating content as fast as possible.
Yeah. One of the things I've observed is, and I have dropped by, and what I really appreciate about your online stuff is it's very well done. You guys are editing on the fly, and it's very well done. You need to wear a brighter shirt. Sometimes you disappear in the background, but
I know. Yeah. We've been doing that lately.
yeah. But like your Easter, the tie was amazing. It was like, and you do a really good job of holding the audience's attention. So I have dropped in to see you. And I think as I've thought about, who we are as a group of pastors in our small community, there are I'm a teacher, so you'll learn something when you come to Pathway. Our friend Dyke Cyphers, he is very shepherding oriented, very pastoral. You'll feel comforted from his presence. You're an inspiring figure. You'll inspire people to, the horizons and the next kind of thing. And so I think that everybody's a little bit different. JP, just his musical ability. Jeremy's connection to counseling and just connecting people to good counseling thoughts. Everybody's a little bit different. And so you could also, in that why, you could experience a number of different churches for different reasons at this time, because you have You have the time. Some of the pressures are off.
Yeah. I mean, I like that the pressures are off. I mean, we've been trying lots of things. So is digital discipleship the hardest one? It is, because everybody thinks that this is going to end. So they're not really taking on a bunch of new, if that makes sense.
Right.
So, and I think that even this week, it's really hard because everybody's like, well, in 2 weeks, we're going to be back to norm. I'm like, so it's kind of hard to say, hey, maybe you should start this Bible study. So,
Yeah,
maybe the summer. So.
Normal just changed, and so I think, well, we talked about in the run up to getting this started, you don't want to start something that you have to maintain forever, unless it's really what you are geared towards and what you should be doing.
Yeah. And that's, we were doing a how to share your faith class. So this is a good example for this. And we did 2 sessions out of 4, and then COVID hit. So, well, COVID makes it so basically there's no reason to teach anything else, because the 90% of evangelism that you normally teach is person-to-person evangelism,
right,
at some sort. So this past week, I just did a class. I did an interview of someone who wrote an article about online evangelism, and really, we just need to teach online evangelism. I mean,
yeah,
that's a lot simpler, and it's a lot shorter class. So, because,
Well, we started something, we called it What You Do Counts. And so basically we were encouraging people to go out and have new conversations with people. And in that new conversation, look for a way to invite them to church, or like the best option is to look for a way to talk to them about their relationship with God through Jesus Christ, And so we started counting those things with pennies, nickels, and quarters, a quarter being that you talked about Jesus, a nickel being you made an invitation to church, and a penny, you just said hello to somebody. Yeah. And we were starting to see some real results from that people were like, oh, wait a minute, it is my responsibility. I've got to take ownership for the future of the church. And so when you just say hello to somebody, it's not the end, but it's at least the beginning.
Right.
And so we started seeing people get excited about that and start doing it. And then COVID hit. And so now we have to sort of shift gears and talk about, hey, what's a digital invitation look like? Come watch us on Facebook. Okay. What's another way to do it? Come, let's do a watch party on Facebook. How do you move to that next level of inviting people to follow God through Jesus, online, digitally?
Right.
So, well, hey man, thanks a lot for coming out. I really appreciate your time.
No problem. Anytime. Just let me know.
Yeah. Well, 10:30 next week, and we'll try to get the other guys involved.
Sounds good.
God bless you. Have a great day.
Thanks.